Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, Karen decides to attack a Vietnam War veteran at Walmart after thinking he is an employee. After he refused to serve her, she pulled out a taser on him. Here is what happened. Subscribe to Ripe on YouTube and hit the bell to turn on notifications. The title story starts like this. My father is a veteran and basically taught me everything I know about being a good man and person. When I heard what happened to him when he went to Walmart, I knew that I had to share this story with others. All he was doing was going there to get a few groceries and I think browsing the clothing to see if there was anything he liked. I just want to preface this story with the fact that my father was wearing blue jeans and green polo type shirt. Basically looking nothing like any Walmart employee and their distinctive vests. My dad was getting his groceries and this Karen kept telling him that she was looking for something. My father even admits that she probably asked him several times with no answer because his hearing was not what it used to be. When he did hear her, he just told her that he did not work at the store and turned back to the shelf. She started yelling at him that he did work there and had to help her find what she wanted right that minute. My father has zero tolerance for this kind of behavior and was not going to let her push him around. He put on his no-nonsense face and told her sternly and firmly that he did not work at the store and did not need to help her find anything. Again, she told him that he was going to stop what he was doing right then and there and show her what aisle the thing she wanted was in. That was it for my father and he told this lady off. This is the only part of their interaction I have an actual quote of what he said. "Father, I have told you twice that I don't work at this store. I don't know if you're stupid or just not good at listening. You better turn your butt around and get out of my face now. Like I said before, my dad does not put up with Karens after all the things that he has seen." Karen responded by saying that she was going to call the manager and get him fired. She still was not grasping that my 76-year-old father was shopping and not stocking shelves. My dad cursed her out in response and that was when she got really angry and did something that any rational human being would not do. She pulled out a taser on my father and was holding it out, threatening to use it on him. Despite his age, he had some of the things he learned before going to Vietnam deep in his brain. Combine that with his natural instincts of a weapon pointed at him kicking in, and Karen had zero chance. She was holding the taser with her arms straight out, so my father just easily disarmed her, knocking the taser to the ground and kicking it away from her. You would think at this point my father would be the one yelling at her for trying to taser him, but no, Karen was the one going off. She pulled out her phone and called the police, claiming that a Walmart employee assaulted her when she asked where something was. Now, my father didn't do anything and probably could have just walked out, but he knew this was gonna be funny. When my dad came back from Vietnam, some of his friends became officers and some of their sons are now officers that my dad knows. When they tried to ask Karen what employee assaulted her and she pointed at the man they knew didn't work at the store, they were suspicious. They asked Karen what made her think my father worked there when he was not wearing the uniform and told her several times. She said that he just didn't want to help her and was extremely rude and even cursed her out. Then he out of nowhere attacked her and she wanted to press charges for assault. Of course, my father pointed to the taser on the floor and told the officers that she pulled it out of her bag and he only disarmed her before she could set it off. When Karen claimed the taser belonged to my father, he made a comment about if he was gonna carry a weapon for self-protection, it was gonna be a gun. She did not need to know that he actually does not have any desire to own a gun anymore. The officer said that it would be simple to find out who was right because the store had video cameras. Karen suddenly did not want to press charges anymore and instead wanted to get out of there as quickly as possible. That was not gonna happen though, and some officers stayed with the two of them while others reviewed the tape. My father did not mind waiting and one of the officers was the son of a guy that served with him, so they just chatted while they waited. Of course, the police came back and told them that they saw the whole thing and Karen was under arrest. This country is a little confusing when it comes to laws about tasers. For those that don't know and don't want to look into it, I will give a little background. While most states allow tasers to be carried for self-defense, others have it restricted and a select few have it outright banned. Where we live falls into the last category, so even owning this thing was illegal. This whole time, a crowd had gathered to see what happened to cause this many police officers to be in a pretty quiet Walmart in the middle of the day. The store manager had been around since the police showed up and was dealing with the store side of this whole issue. The fact police had to come to the store, the tapes needing review, etc. Before the police could take Karen away, the manager took her picture with one of those cameras that the picture just prints out. He said she was going on the wall of banned patrons and was never gonna be allowed back in the store. This was the only Walmart for about half an hour drive, so being banned, especially for a local regular, would be a big pain. She started yelling at him that he could not stop her from shopping and it was her right as a citizen. When my dad told me she said that, I started laughing because of how ironic it was. She wanted to have the rights and freedoms as a citizen, but tried to shoot a veteran with a taser gun. The only last thing she did before getting taken out of the store was to spit at my father. It missed, but it resulted in the police getting something that was like a spit mask so that she could not do it on them. She most likely was not gonna end up in jail or anything for having the illegal taser, but she would be getting some kind of a fine and being put on a list. Her punishment did not really matter to my father as long as she got what was coming to her in the moment, that being a Walmart ban, an arrest and the embarrassment of being dragged out. I am sure she thought that pulling a taser on a 76-year-old man would make her get her way. She should realize that veterans never outgrow certain instincts and she was lucky that my father did not actually hurt her in retaliation. Enjoy driving out of your way next time you wanna go to Walmart for cheaper food. And yeah, Ripe Stars, honestly, in these situations, I'm not even sure if these entitled people really get embarrassed. I'm not even sure if they know what the word shame means, because certainly they don't have any shame. Either way, if you enjoyed the story, I would very much appreciate it if you could post some star emojis in the comments and maybe even like the video if you want to support my channel. Thank you so much. The next one is titled, When I Went for Nuclear Revenge. This one was posted by user Mountain at 5355 on r/ripe stories. It starts like this. Back in the 90s, I was attending college in the Northeast United States. I was, and still am, the sort of person who likes to keep to themselves and get their work done, socialize a little bit and go back about my day. Somehow I ended up on a dorm floor with quite a few frat boys in training who thought they were pranksters and should be able to do whatever they wanted. Some of the pranks were harmless, whipped cream or shaving cream in your hand as you were sleeping in the common area, plastic wrap across a doorframe, etc., but some were a little more invasive. Soup mix in the shower heads, chili oil mixed with shampoo, water balloons above the door, air horns under your chair, pubic hair in the ice cube trays, plastic wrap on the toilets, smoke and stink bombs thrown into rooms, fire extinguishers shot at people, water guns in the crotch when you were walking out to class. I warned folks to leave me out of their pranks because they would not like the outcome. I would win. Inevitably, despite my warning, they continued to involve me. I decided to end pranks. We had a hillside with a wooded area outside of our dorm building. Being the fall in northeastern United States, there was a significant growth of poison ivy. I had been a Boy Scout and knew that the toxin in poison ivy tends to be much more concentrated in the roots and the stems of the plant and not just in the leaves. I put on gloves and set out to harvest as much of the roots and stems as I could. I then went to the campus chemistry lab and proceeded to grind the plant parts and press them to extract as much of the urushiol toxin from them as possible, earning a wonderful slurry. I then processed most of the liquid out of the slurry and ended up with a waxy paste. Stage 1 of my plan was complete. I waited for the right moment to set my prank in motion. Everyone left for a party and I decided to start stage 2. I spread that paste on every door handle going into the restrooms on the floor. For one simple reason. Very few men in general and none of these prankster frat boys wash their hands before using the bathroom. And well, Ripe Stars, personally, I also don't wash my hands before using the bathroom, but obviously afterwards. I always find it disgusting when people don't do that. Anyway, this means that not only did their hands get a good dose of the urushiol toxin, but their other parts did as well. By the middle of the next week, everyone was convinced someone had spread an STD on our floor. A few guys lost their girlfriends since they were itching in other places too. The health center diagnosed it as poison ivy, and the dean of students called an all-floor meeting for us. Picture 21 young men standing around a common area, all itching and covered in pink calamine lotion, and one guy, me, looking like the cat who ate the canary. The dean of students explained that he was aware of the escalating pranks on our floor, and someone had taken it about 4 stages too far and pranks needed to end. Pranks were over because someone had basically resorted to chemical warfare, and he was terrified of how far it would go. I was able to sleep well and had a great rest of the semester. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I gotta say, that was a brilliant revenge story, and please feel free to post your own revenge stories or any other interesting stories on r/Ripe Stories on Reddit, which is our own subreddit. Anyway, the next one is titled Mistaken Identity, posted by user Indigo Wolf on r/Ripe Stories. It starts like this: I love karaoke. I am not amazing, people keep saying I should go on Idol, but I would be one of those people Simon would say, they are lying to you. But I am also not bad. Karaoke was pretty much my primary social activity before the pandemic. I was a regular at a couple different bars because they have karaoke on different nights. So I go to one of my regular bars and there's a new bouncer at the door. I have seen him maybe 3 times before. He told me I was not allowed in because of my actions last time. Now, I'm pretty much always a good girl, never get in trouble and never been arrested or anything, so I think he's just messing with me because I'm a regular. So I entertained his joke and asked him what I did. He goes on to tell me about me getting pissed drunk, arguing with the bartender, and hitting him with a shoe as he was kicking me out. I laughed and said, good one, did I at least bite someone in the brawl? Cause that would make it a better story. He persists and just stands in front of me, not letting me in. At this point, I'm starting to realize he is not joking. Several other regulars go in and see what's going on. They went and got the owner, who came out and gave the bouncer a major scolding. I went in when the owner told me to, so I didn't hear it all, but I did hear a, if you cannot even tell troublemakers from your regulars, maybe you shouldn't be working here, before the door closed. He did not get fired. He spent the next several nights apologizing every time I came in. Whoever you are, woman that looks something like me, I hope you moved away or something. I don't need you in my area. I don't need you giving me your crappy reputation. And the next one is titled Never Creep on the Neighborhood Kids. I almost forgot about this, and it's a thing of marvelous beauty. A few years ago I was living in an apartment complex near Charleston, SC, which I guess is South Carolina. My downstairs neighbor was a nurse and had her 2 kids living with her as well as her girlfriend. She was going through a nasty divorce with her ex-husband. The ex-husband did not like her having a girlfriend around his/her kids, so he hired a private investigator to take pictures of the couple together. The ex-husband was apparently going to argue family values or something in family court, and well, my neighbor was telling me about this and how it made her uncomfortable. That the guy just camps out in the parking lot waiting for her and her girlfriend to come and go. She had confronted him and he said he could be there if he wanted. Well, 2 things first, the complex was considered private property and not a public road/area. Number 2, the complex playground was right across the street from our unit building. Her kids played there pretty much every day after school. So now for the pro-revenge, I jokingly pointed out how this guy was basically a stranger taking pictures of her kids at the playground. Then I had an idea. I called the police non-emergency number. I told the dispatcher that there was a strange man/car who did not live in the complex taking pictures of the kids in the playground. Within minutes, 3 cop cars pulled up to the PI's car, as well as the officer who lived in the complex. He gets a discount on rent for being available for complex issues. The guy was told to get out of his car, patted down, and his camera was taken by the police. The guy was trespassed and told to leave the complex and never come back. I imagine he got his camera back later, but what a sweet, sweet revenge. And the next one is titled Sued by Past Roommate Who Sits in Federal Prison, Filing Pro Se Claims Against Everyone He Has Come in Contact With Since His Arrest. This is a little long as it begins in 2012. I will make it as short as I can, but I will also include a too long didn't read at the bottom. I appreciate your time and thoughts and do plan to contact my insurance agent and attorney on Monday. I'm using a throwaway as to not muck up my real account with this issue. I was served notice this evening that I am being sued by a previous roommate. This individual rented a room in my single family home in 2012. A few months later, he gave notice that he would be moving out as he had been offered a new job. A couple days before he was to move, he left for work and never returned. I attempted to reach him numerous times. I called the local police department, but they had no record of any issue or accident. I tried his emergency contact but received no callback. A few weeks after he had gone missing, a group of people showed up at my house stating he had been picked up by Homeland Security at work. They wanted his belongings. I refused without proof and written authorization. They provided me his attorney number, but it was Sunday, so I left a message. They insisted. I offered to call the local PD. They declined the offer and left. Since it was confirmed that he was not coming back for his property, I cleaned out the room, boxed everything and moved it to a storage room in my home. As I packed, I came across some information he had saved which raised extreme concern. They included dangerous how-to instructions. I was not quite sure what to do with it and was frankly petrified, especially knowing he was in custody of Homeland Security. The following morning I contacted Homeland to inquire to his status. An agent called me back. During our conversation he asked questions and I ultimately decided to share what I found. He then requested to come to my home. He came in with another agent. We spoke and they checked his then empty room, then went through his belongings in the storage area. They seized 4 items including computer equipment and personal documents which included the concerning information. They gave me a receipt of seized property listing what they took. The following day I was contacted by the ex-roommate's attorney who sent a release of liability and authorized me to release his remaining property to his friends. They came by, we helped them pack up and they went on their way. I heard nothing else for nearly 3 years and did not follow his case. At the beginning of this summer, I started receiving copies of notices related to lawsuits he has been filing on every person who looked his way during this process. He is suing Homeland, the agents, the police, his public defender, a few private lawyers, ex-employers and individuals from every court and prison he has been in the past 3 years across 4 states. I cannot find his exact charges, but he's being held in federal prison. The original charge was for misrepresenting his citizenship, but the charge listed online states failure to appear. I have read through everything I have, but there are no charges listed pertaining to the items seized. They have tried to deport him, but he causes such a scene, the airlines have refused to allow him on board, so he continues to sit in prison. Now he has decided to sue me for multiple millions for invasion of privacy, return of his seized property, discrimination and a multitude of other claims of distress, emotional damage, etc. What I can find online states the statute of limitations for this type of civil issue is 3 years in MA. The 3-year period expired 5 weeks ago if the date of seizure and alleged invasion is used. His claim consists of 2 white-lined pieces of paper with his handwritten accusations and request for damages. I forgot to mention he's doing all of this pro se. I would guess he cannot find another attorney to deal with his litigious bullshit. His claim has a handwritten date of 4 months ago, which is prior to the expiration of the limitation. The notice of summons received today is dated last week. I have 20 days to reply. My questions at the moment are: which date is used to determine the statute of limitations? How much evidence do you supply with an answer to a summons? For example, would I include a copy of the receipt of seizure and his attorney's release? It states I need to file an answer with the plaintiff's attorney. Since he is pro se and sitting in federal prison, am I correct to think that I need to send my answer to him there? I also need to file a copy with the court. Does the court review both the complaint and answer to determine whether or not the case moves forward? Or does the plaintiff review the answer and then determine whether to move forward or not? If the case goes forward, will they ship him up here for this? He's a couple thousand miles away now. And finally, under these circumstances, would his right to privacy remain intact after his property was stored? TLDR, for the people who did not understand the story, Par's roommate was arrested at work by Homeland Security 3 years ago and remains in federal prison. He is filing pro se suits against everyone involved, which now includes me. Homeland seized his property from a storage area in my home, leaving a receipt behind. He now claims I invaded his privacy, among other things, because they had no warrant. And someone gave this very good advice. He said, you have to oppose it by filing an answer or other motion challenging the lawsuit, like a demurrer. If you don't, then he could move for a win by default, which is not good for you. So your options here are simple. Get an attorney and have him evaluate the lawsuit and file a motion if possible. Or, if you're going to do this on your own, at least download the forms for this particular court and file an answer and pay the filing fee. You don't need to file any evidence with an answer, that is what the discovery process is all about. For parties without an attorney like your plaintiff, you have to serve him through the prisoner. That is easier than serving an individual, as he's not going anywhere and just serving the system is good service. He can ask to be transferred for court appearances, although for civil they may allow him, upon motion, to proceed via written documents. If you wanted him present for a motion or at trial, for example, you would need to serve the federal prison system with a subpoena at your cost. A statute of limitations is based upon the date of the violation or the date of discovery of the violation if it could not have been discovered before a certain date. As long as the lawsuit is filed before the end of the statute of limitations, it is allowed, generally. The court does not review the lawsuit or the answer unless you bring a motion. If there is a motion asking the court to challenge the lawsuit like a demurrer, then the court can dismiss after a full hearing. Otherwise, the summons and complaints get filed with the court and the answer gets filed with the court, and few look at the actual details until later on. I wish OP the best of luck. And the last one is an update to the roommate who sues everybody from prison. I promised an update to this post. This got longer than expected, so I will just say here that my motion to dismissal was allowed and all claims were dismissed. Update. After researching all of the cases I could access, I was able to draft an answer to the complaint along with a counterclaim, a motion to dismiss, and a memorandum to support the motion. I specifically would like to thank 3 Reddit users. You were all very helpful in pointing out options and guiding me in the right direction to locate the information I needed to form a response. I was also able to reach the attorney who is defending one of his many civil claims. She was kind enough to review it and give me some guidance on the structure and format. The hearing was last month. I spent a couple hours in the courthouse, heard a few interesting cases, and stood in front of the judge for about 5 minutes. He asked a few questions and I reiterated the points of my motion, and he explained it would likely take 2 to 3 weeks for a decision. Yesterday I received the decision that my motion was granted and all claims have been dismissed. I doubt he's done and expect he will attempt an appeal, as he is known to do, but for now I will be content with the win. Afterthoughts, it has been an interesting experience, though frustrating, as a tax-paying citizen. By researching his current and previous civil action suits, I found 16 cases that the taxpayers have paid to defend. This does not include his criminal cases or any cases I may have missed or are not available through public access. I've also noticed 3 new cases filed in his name this year so far. What makes it more frustrating is that I am aware of the details. His initial offense and reason for his arrest does not appear concerning on the surface. However, what was discovered was concerning, so much so that I made that call. I am a quiet person with a quiet life. Frankly, I'm the one who is attempting to recover from my own family tragedy, one which led me to attempting to bring in some extra income by renting to this person in the first place. I learned this was not the best option. Opening myself up to this experience was a big decision, but necessary. Ultimately, he never incurred any charges for what was found, and the initial charges were dismissed. He was ordered to be removed. There were 2 attempts to remove him. Both times he caused a scene and was returned to custody. This was nearly 3 years ago. I have found no further attempt at removal, and he remains in custody. Personally, I think a strong sedative and a couple Marines would take care of that for them, but I digress. There is so much more I could say to this, but the bottom line is this person apparently has a deep despise for us, our government, and our legal process. Though he apparently has no problem using our legal system to entertain himself while being supported by our tax dollars. Worse is, I'm sure he's not the only one. Again, thank you to those who reached out with advice and support. If anything significant happens, I will come back to update, but I am hoping he may just be sent home silently to hate us from afar and I can leave this experience behind. And yeah guys, with this we reached the end of the video, but I would once again like to remind you, if you want more exclusive RIPE videos, then please click the join button next to the subscribe button to get access to exclusive RIPE videos for a very small fee per month. Thank you so much in advance. The money will be used to spoil Disney and improve my audio equipment. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.